Artifacts are great and all, but did you guys know that we're getting a whole bunch of other unique items that aren't artifacts with this new expansion? I didn't, but I was on New World Database looking at the PTR files, just checking out a whole bunch of different weapons, and I started to see some really interesting items that have impossible perk combos and stuff like that. And some of these items are really good. I would even say that they're better than some of the artifacts that are coming into the game. So I went and dug through the database and I found all of the unique kind of impossible items, and in no particular order, we are going to take a look at these guys. So let's start off with the jewelry. I found some pretty interesting pieces here, and the most interesting one that we're going to start off this video with is the Band of Set. Initially, it might not look like that impressive of a piece of jewelry. We got fire damage, luck, and enfeebling. Then you take a look at that gem slot, and it has Gambit 4, 15% additional damage while your stamina is not full. Now, this could just be a misread on the data mine, I don't know, but it is in the PTR files, and seeing that on a ring is very, very interesting. Right off the bat, there's no hardy on this ring, so it won't be the best to use with something like light or heavy armor, but with medium armor, especially like a medium armor fire build, I could see this being quite a powerful damage ring. So this is definitely an item that if it stays this way when the patch goes live, I am going to be going out and farming this guy. Moving on to the next one, we've got the Drown, Drown, Drown. This is an earring. And again, it's not because the actual perks on here are too crazy. I mean, Healthy Toast, Refreshing, Nimble, not bad at all. But then we've got the Arboreal Wilderness Ward, which can give you an additional 2% damage on your nature attacks. And that is on a jewelry piece, which normally we couldn't put those rune glass gems on. And this is a theme I found in quite a few different pieces of jewelry coming in this new patch. Moving on to the Kane's Ring, we've got a similar deal, except it's arcane damage, dealing plus 2% damage. And this one actually has arcane damage in one of its perks too, so again, giving you a bigger damage option on the ring at the cost of maybe some other more useful perks. And then the next one we have is the Totemic Power. Here we've got the nature attacks doing 2% additional damage again. The Sun Drop, we've got fire attacks doing 2% additional damage, and this does have burning on it and nature damage, weirdly enough. So this is a pretty weird one here. And then we've got Acorn. This one again is nature damage increase. Pretty decent perks, health, divines, and thrust protection on it as well. And then there are a few non-700 gear score ones that I did find on the PTR. The Jewel of the Tower giving 2% ice damage. And then we've got the Hourglass Ring giving 1 stamina on hit on that 3-second cooldown. So that is a very unique slot there that I don't think any other item has. And then we've got the King's Earring giving that 2% fire damage on the earring piece. So pretty interesting stuff from the jewelry. So let's take a look at some of the weapons that we're going to be getting that are unique in the fact that they have 4 perks instead of 3 perks and a gem slot. Starting off in no real particular order with the Hunter's Claw, we've got Penetrating Rapid Shot, Vicious, Keen, and Keenly Jagged. This actually seems like a pretty decent bow. Is it better than having something like, let's say, a gem slot with the 15% additional damage? I'm not really sure, but I'll put this in the maybe bucket for how effective it will be. And the next one we have is Agamemnon, and this is a great sword that gives Skyward Nullification, Trenchant Rend, Refreshing Move, and Thwarting Counter. Again, these are pretty decent perks, so I'll put this in the maybe pile. Next up, we've got Snowdrift. This is an Ice Gauntlet with the Empowered Ice Spike, Trenchant Recovery, Keen, and Enchanted. This item is interesting for 2 reasons, because not only does it have 4 perks, but we've got Trenchant Recovery on a magic weapon, so I'm curious if this will actually function properly. And then we've also got Footfall, which has the exact same perks and attributes as the Agamemnon. We've got the Touch of the Icicle. This is giving Empowered Ice Spike, Refreshing Move, Keenly Empowered, and Trenchant Rend. Again, we've got Trenchant Rend on an Ice Gauntlet, so I'm curious how that will function. So it's a very unique weapon in that sense as well. And then we've got the Right Hand of Frost, another Ice Gauntlet, Pylon Burst, Refreshing Move, Keenly Empowered, and Frost Attunement. I like seeing Frost Attunement on the dropped items. This one is not bad. Again, is it better than having that 15% damage from an Opal? We've got the Left Hand of Deceit, a Void Gauntlet, and this one is unique in the fact that it has the Abyssal Attunement and Shirking Arcane, and then Keen and Diminishing Orb. But we have 2 of the kind of additional damage procs on one weapon here, so this one might actually be a really good option for a Void Gauntlet. And then moving on, we've got the Curse of the Descending Sun, Keenly Jagged, Keen, Vicious, and Empowering Explosive Arrow. Very similar to the Hunter's Claw that we saw a little bit earlier. And then we've got Splitter, a hatchet that has Keen Berserk, Keen, Keenly Empowered, and Trenchant Strikes. This doesn't seem too bad, but again, nothing too crazy about it, so kind of the maybe pile. And then the Musket having Crippling Powder Burn, Mortal Power, Keen, and Vicious. This is just not good. You can get a way better musket for sure. The Hoof and Tusk, another great sword, Skyward Nullification, Trenchant Rend, Vicious, and Shirking Lightning. Not bad at all. We've got the Wrecker, a Warhammer, Empowering Armor Breaker, Trenchant Rend, Keen, and Keenly Empowered. Again, nothing too out of the ordinary here, so just an okay hammer. We've got Black Talons, a great sword, Steadfast Purification, Mortal Power, Vicious, and Trenchant Crits. Vicious, Trenchant Crits on the same is really nice, but Mortal Power is bad, so I gotta say this one is probably not a good weapon. Eagle's Beak, we've got Crippling Feral Rush, Keen, Keenly Empowered, and Trenchant Crits. Yeah, just in the okay pile. Crack, it is a flail, Accelerating Barrage, Mortal Power, Trenchant Recovery, and Enchanted. Honestly, anything that has the mortal perks in these 4 perk weapons is probably not going to be very useful. Next up, we've got another great sword, the Cantilever. This is Relentless Freedom, Trenchant Crits, Vicious, and Plagued Strikes. This one I think might actually be good. Vicious, Trenchant Crits at the same time. Plagued Strikes, really nice for PvP. And then, of course, Relentless Freedom, really nice for PvP. So I gotta say this one is not a bad option. Then we've got the Swipe, a Great Axe. This one has Enfeebling Maelstrom, Hated, Life-Stealing, and Rogue. Might be good for a tanking PvE build, but for PvP purposes, this is not going to be a very good weapon. Moving on to the Dragon's Tail, another flail. We've got Mending Vortex, Shirking Flames, Hated, and Keen Speed. Again, we've got that Hated perk, so yeah, this one isn't going to be too terribly great. Then we've got Fury, a Hatchet, Refreshing Torrent, Keen, Hated, Thwarting Counter. There we are with the Hated items again. And then we've got Nemesis, Lasting Rain of Arrows, Vicious, Keen, and Mortal Lifesteal. And that's going to make that one kind of a bum weapon too. Ares Will, another Great Axe, and it's got Insatiable Gravity Well, Hated, Mortal Fortification, and Rogue. This one is probably the worst 4 perk weapon. And then we've got Hades Fury, Shirking Arcane, Enchanted, Keen, and Putrefying Scream. Not too terrible. Again, I think it's hard to justify something like the Opal being a worse slot than trading it out for Keen. And then we've got the Hesperian Gardener, and this guy's the Great Sword, Leeching Crosscut, Mortal Power, Vicious, Enchanted. And you guys know what I'm going to say, not worth because of that Mortal Power. And one last weapon that I wanted to talk about is the Tooth and Claw. This is not a 4 perk weapon, but it is a 3 perk Fire Staff that has Empowering Fireball and Trenchant Strikes for 23% additional heavy melee attack damage. If this works for the Fire Staff heavy attack, this is a crazy cool Fire Staff. Even with Mortal Lifesteal, this might actually be a very good staff to use. And last but not least, there are a few unique PvE items that I kind of had my eye on. Some of these crafting items. The Syndicate specs giving +5 Arcanist crafted item quality versus the +2 that you would normally get if you had that hood. And you're going to get these from the various different faction vendors. The Marauderer's Blacksmith Gloves for the 5 Weaponsmith crafted item quality. And last but not least, the Covenant's Chef Apron for that 10% chance to craft additional items while cooking. And the very last item that I want to talk about on the list is kind of just a fun one, the Rhinestone, giving both Armor Mastery and Weaponsmith Mastery on the same item. Not really something that is needed or has any big impact on your crafting, but just kind of cool. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to find any of these items, you can find them on newworlddatabase.info. There's a link to it down below that I have for you guys as well. And there might be some on there that I missed, so if you guys have found any cool items yourself that I didn't cover in this list, I would love to hear what they are. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you all enjoyed. I'm going to be streaming again starting this Thursday, so I hope to see you guys there. If you like, you can check out my website, pvpnewworld.com. It's got tons of PvP builds, and I'll be adding a bunch more when the patch comes out. A big thank you to our sponsor, ExpressVPN, and of course, a big thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon who have supported the show. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you soon.